Hey, what is up, everyone? Welcome to Market Psychology 101, where we look for value in the markets when there's fear and are cautious when there's greed. Today, we're going to be taking a look at Bitcoin mining stocks. And let's start off with stock fear and greed. And as you can see on CNN Business, we went down from greed into neutral. And on pie vesting, pretty similar, albeit a little bit higher. Now, because we follow the crypto market, or Bitcoin mining stocks follow the crypto market more than they just do stock fear and greed, we have to take a look at what's going on with fear and greed in crypto. And we've been going down a little bit back into greed. You can see here coming down to this base we made back here. So we'll see if Bitcoin and crypto is making a base here, getting ready to bounce up, or if it is going to continue lower. You can see that we were in an uptrend for a while. I'll actually zoom out and show you this. Since mid 22, we were in an uptrend of fear into greed. And then as you can see back here, we'll zoom in on the 1 year, we have started going down, getting lower highs, lower lows. So we'll see if this trend continues. Let's take a look at the alt season index. And something I've noted here is this would have to be a higher low, or at least hold here, because if this starts reversing trend or continuing these lower highs and lower lows in this smaller time frame, then maybe we are going to get some chop for a little bit before hopefully coming back up. But we'll see. If this is a higher low, then we can just continue higher. And should we get any of these alt season blow-offs like we did in late 2020 or 2021, then you might see a spike here. And if we do, that typically is good, or has been good, for Bitcoin mining stocks. Every week on Tuesday, I do a Bitcoin rainbow chart video, put one out yesterday, so subscribe if you like to see that. We talk about all things with Bitcoin cycle, the current price action, everything to do with Bitcoin. And let's get into Bitcoin mining stocks. So first, well, actually before we do, one more thing. Let's just take a look at Bitcoin, see how Bitcoin is doing today. And we are on the daily. We also have this RSI here. Let's get rid of that, and let's add on our buy sell signal indicator. So you can see Bitcoin, we still have these higher lows, and you can also see these candle wicks forming somewhat of a base. So Bitcoin, it keeps getting rejected around its former all-time high. That's this gray line right here. If we zoom way out on this macro fib, the all-time high from 2021 in November is there at around 69,000. And then zooming back in, you can see that even though we broke to new all-time highs, we've been in this downward channel for Bitcoin. And comparatively, altcoins and mining stocks have been holding up a lot better than many of the popular altcoins out there. So far seems to be the safer play. But we have this trend line that Bitcoin's been riding up since the beginning of this bull run. And should it continue to do so, we're going to have some confluence here in the upward part of the channel, the resistance around the former 2021 all-time high, this trend line, and maybe it'll break up. But should things start to get rejected and get under, I'm watching this price 63.4 like a hawk. If it gets under there at around the 100-day moving average and goes lower, then my guess would be we're going back down to the lower end of the channel. So we'll see whether or not we continue a little bit higher into new all-time highs, which would be very, very good for mining stocks, or if we're going to get just ultimately rejected again and get back down here. So let's start off with Marathon Digital Holdings and take a look at where we are at there. Let's start with the weekly, and then we'll go to the daily. So Mara, you can see just a lot of chop sideways, even with the weekly buy and sell signals. That's all those dots and squares. It has another sell signal. You can see here a pretty good rejection at this 618 macro Fibonacci retracement. So I do a fib from the high to the low because we haven't broken up above that yet. And you can see here that Mara never really closed on the weekly above, or had a whole candle body above the 618. It did here, but had this massive wick showing a lot of sell energy going back in the other direction. And we tested the 618, but now we're getting rejected off that again. We did have this doji here, and we also have the candle body up here. So I would not be surprised to see if maybe Mara come down to this $18 range. But there's a lot of support here. You can see the weekly 100 and 200. Of course, the 50's up here, and we have the 0.5 fib at around 16. So if Mara gets between 16 to 18 bucks, in my opinion, that's a good area for some dollar cost average value. Next, let's go to RIOT. Actually, before RIOT, I just want to take a look at the daily. I promise you I'd take a look at the daily. So anything we notice here? Well, Mara overall has been in love with this 100-day moving average. That's where we're at right now. But when it has broken under, you can see the 200 is next. And yeah, it's still going up, and we can still have higher lows. But if it did have a higher low, or if it did get to the 200, it'd be lower than this point here. So maybe, at least on the daily, it's showing that maybe at worst to expect something around 19, but we will see. So next, let's go to RIOT platforms, and let's first start off with the weekly. So drew this wedge pattern a while back. Obviously, it broke underneath it, but I want to see if it can get back into it. And right now, look at that skinny doji that we have right here. Some nice green candles, but a lot of wick sell pressure right around that trend line. And as you can see, RIOT, it's hanging out at the 382 fib line right here and is encountering a lot of resistance on these moving averages. And so even when it touched the 200, got rejected. It keeps testing this 100, but keeps coming down to this 382 fib. So we do have some nice big green candles, albeit with some sell pressure right around here. So hopefully RIOT is able to break through some of this resistance. And if it does, then the next targets above all this resistance on the weekly would obviously be this 0.5 fib. And as you can see, just like Mara, it's struggling at this fib area where it's tested. Did have a couple candle body closes, but look at those wicks, just all that sell pressure pushing it the opposite way. So, and you can see that right here as well with the resistance. So we do have some nice inflows, some nice green candles. We can see if we can finally break through all that pressure. But if so, then we got to be watching this 0.5 and whether or not it's going to get rejected again. So we'll see. Let's go to the daily on RIOT. And yeah, here it looks a little bit oversold and bearish, but you can see these nice wicks, and it's holding that support at the 50-day. And we do have higher lows overall. A little bit of a correction here. So we'll see. Hopefully it can hold and get a nice bounce. But if not, if RIOT is to sell down, then I'd be looking at the mid or lower $9 range for some possible extra value. Next, let's go to CleanSpark. And CleanSpark, let's start with the weekly. So struggling with the 786. 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's slowly dying down. So what has me concerned about this, I kind of picture someone who's swimming and struggling to stay afloat, that they get their head up above water, but as time goes on, they're losing energy and they're slowly starting to drown. Sorry if that's a bit morbid. So it got up to the 786, and it's staying on the 20-week moving average, which is nice. Going sideways, okay, that's nice. But I am wondering if it's going to get a little bit of a dip down. You can see all this support right around the 618 fib. We have the 50, 200, 100, and that's all around 13, 12 bucks. Let's zoom in on the daily, see if we can notice anything better. You can see that not only are we getting lower highs, but it keeps testing this 100-day moving average, even got a little bit more underneath it. So I don't like that these are lower highs overall, and I am wondering if this is possibly going to come down and test this 200-day moving average. Here you can see on the daily high 13s. So again, 12 to, well, you could say 12 to 14 bucks for some deeper value. But hopefully it would hold. We do have a little bit of price structure there. The 200 the 618, and where's the 50 on the weekly? Well, all the ones on the weekly are right around that 618. So good support there, at least on the weekly. Next, let's go to Cipher Mining. Cipher had a nice move up, and as you can see, got to that 786 fib and had a little bit of sell pressure. Nice green candles, but you can see here we have this doji, so Cipher's deciding which way it wants to go, up or down. Did get a little bit extended after slowly grinding up here for a while, and as you can see, last time it got a little bit extended, came back down to reality, so I would not be surprised if all of a sudden Cipher, we have some nice supports here, the 100, the 50, the 618 fib, all that around the low $4 range. I would not be surprised to see Cipher come back down a little bit if it's, we don't know what's going to happen. You know, doji, things can go either way. We do have green candles, but we do have wicks pushing us down here. But if it is to come back down, that'd possibly be some good areas to look for some extra value. Next, let's take a look at Wolf. And Terawolf had a little bit of a sell signal. So you can see the last area of resistance on the weekly as it was coming up was this 200. And as it was climbing, look at all that sell pressure. It just kept pushing through on these wicks. And as it got to the 200, boom, you had this doji, and now it's coming back down. Though we have a wick on the other side. And so is the sell pressure going to be greater than the buy pressure? We do have this weekly sell signal. And as you can see, the last few times that played out, it can be 2 or 3 weeks. By the time we got this sell signal, that was it though. So, you know, maybe it's just one of these. However, it did have that strong 50-week moving average support, and support's a little further down here. So my guess would be that if the sell signal continues, that we see Wolf price get back down to somewhere around this 100-week moving average at around 350. We do have the 382 fib and the 50-week moving average support. Maybe the body gets down here and it wicks down closer to the high $2 range. If we look at the daily, yeah, daily's not looking too great right now. What is nice is at least we had this little guy jump up, but it's almost doing a 5-wave pattern. So 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5, and we'll see where the 5th wave goes. But hopefully that doesn't continue. Whenever things are going 5 waves in either direction, I'm worried about a reversal of trends. So we'll see here, but I would be willing to be patient, not catch a falling knife on this one, on the daily. And let's see if maybe Terawolf can get down to the high $2 range. Next, let's look at Bit Digital. So Bit Digital, you can see here, at least on the daily, it's catching a buy signal right at the 20-day moving average. But otherwise we have lower highs and lower lows. So we'll see about that. And as far as the weekly, yeah, as far as the patterns go, this is a lower high, lower low. And when it does start to sell off in the weekly, you can see it can come down quite a bit. So if we are to come down again on Bit Digital, you'd be eyeing this 260, 270 range and watch for these moving averages as support. Even though last couple times, man, when the sell orders came in, it just sold down. This thing's putting us through a roller coaster. So we'll see. But yeah, if you are honoring these lower lows, lower highs, I'd be possibly looking for this mid $2 range. Me personally, but hedge your bets. And let's go to Bitfarms. So Bitfarms, weekly sell signal here. We have some chop, and this area, this 618 macro fib, it's been encountering a lot of resistance for a while. So you can see only one time did it close above, but had that long-legged doji, a lot of sell pressure, and even the wick was touching the 618. Came back down, had some good support here off these moving averages, even this upward trend line, but it's getting stuck at the 618 fib again. So we are encountering some confluence right here, just like I was talking about Bitcoin with how it's hitting the upper end of that channel. and the fib and all that stuff. Right here, we're getting really wound up, and inside this little triangle space right here, I think there's going to be a big move up or down, and that'll tell us a bit more about the medium term of where Bitfarms is going to be. So we do have some very nice supports as well as the 0.5 fib. Hopefully it stays above there and we see it blast off sooner than later. But if the inverse happens, then you would have to be looking at possibly this 32 at $1.35 again. But if it does blast up and go higher, the next area to expect some profit taking would be around $5. So those would be areas to watch for should this thing start to go one way or the other. We have a couple more. We have Iris Energy Limited and Core Scientific. Iris Energy Limited got very extended from its moving averages, hit the 786 fib. A lot of sell pressure, finally coming back down. Has the 618 fib here. Hopefully what has been resistance these times now turns into support, and we all of a sudden create a new base, a higher base or platform for Iris up at $8 on the 618 fib. You can see the moving averages are coming up to support it as well. So we'll see. Let's zoom in on the daily. Is there any support coming in? A little bit. Right now we do have lower highs, lower lows, a little bit of support. We did get this nice green candle, but we had one before. And we do have a little bit of sell pressure right there coming in off the 50-day moving average. So we'll see if the 100-day will hold. But if it doesn't hold, then we can expect there's some price structure, obviously, that we talked about here, here, and here, as well as support with the 200-day moving average and the 618 fib. So if this does continue downward, then hopefully this $8 area can support it. Let's see what Core Scientific's doing. And Core Scientific going a little bit sideways here on the daily. Maybe rounding out here and coming down to the 50-day moving average. I know there's a couple viewers out here who like Core Scientific. And on the weekly, we did just get the sell signal. So as you guys can see with the Heikinashis, that's why I use Heikinashi candles over regular candles, is that when the colors change, sometimes more often than not, we do get a trend, at least for a few weeks or so. And should we get some sell pressure that maybe it got up to $12, I would guess that, you know, there might be a correction down to, well, I'll show you here a couple areas I'd be looking for. So let's draw this fib up here. The couple areas that I'd be watching for, obviously, all of these right here, down to the 618. If it got underneath that, then holy crap, watch out. But everything up to the 618, you know, possibly look for some reversals. Usually, typically, after big moves up, one area I watch the most is the 0.5. Oftentimes, I'll see a 50% retracement, and then things blast off out of here. So something around the $6 range is what I would be eyeing the most. So guys, hope you enjoyed this video. Like doing these Bitcoin mining stock videos every Wednesday. Do you own any Bitcoin mining stocks? Are there any Bitcoin mining stocks that you feel really good about? Or are there any Bitcoin mining stocks that you do not feel good about? Maybe you're a fan of Marathon, but not Iris Energy. Or maybe you're a fan of Terawolf, but not Cipher or CleanSpark. Comment below. What do you like? What don't you like? And how are you feeling about where crypto is at right now? Because as I was talking about with Bitcoin, we have some important confluence going on here. And either things can keep climbing up and break out, and should it break out, I think that'll be good for mining stocks, crypto, and everything. Or do you feel that crypto is just getting ready to roll back over again, and that, like the stock market has been the last couple of years, where October tends to be the worst time of year to own assets, stocks, crypto? Do you think we're going into a red October or possibly breaking up? We have, of course, the Fed rate cut decision coming today, whether or not they're going to cut rates today or maybe in 2 months. So a lot of things going on. And of course, I'll keep you guys updated with the current state of the price action with crypto, with Bitcoin, with mining stocks, and with other big stocks as well. So hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you're all doing well. Take care.